It's day 4 at the Australian Open, and we've finally seen a big seed go out on the women's. It's the first top 10 player, Qinwen Zheng. She is out, and on the men's, Djokovic, Alcaraz are roaring on.
Boom! Day 4 is nearly complete. There are still some matches going on. The rain returned on day 4. Lots of interruptions. The main court's obviously showing some tennis, but it means there's a delay. There's still some matches playing. We've got to film this a little bit earlier than normal. Draper's in a 5th set as we're speaking. But the big news on day 4 is number 5 seed on the women's, Qinwen Zheng, out. Laura Siegemund, she's knocked her out. She can be a tricky customer when she plays her best tennis, and it proved to be. She was 12-1 underdog in this matchup, and she won in straight sets as well. There were some other notable victories. Obviously, Sabalenka went through. We had Coco Gauff going through, and another big story on the women's as well, Naomi Osaka. She's done it not once now, she's done it twice. She beat Caroline Garcia, and now it's gone to level up. She's just knocked out Karolina Muchova. And I don't think either of us saw this coming, but if this is the real Naomi Osaka playing, Coco Gauff needs to watch out because she's in her section. Scary.
Wow, so much to discuss. I'm going to start with the fact on the women's, it's the first top 10 player to lose on the women's draw. We've seen a lot of the favourites winning their matches. It's not always been convincing. Sabalenka last night, as a prime example of that, she was struggling in the second set, but managed to come back and do some great things to win that one. But the big news is 36-year-old Laura Siegemund upsets the Olympic champion in 2024 runner-up Qinwen Zheng, 7-6, 6-3 to reach the third round at the Australian Open. Important to remember, she was the runner-up last year, so she likes these courts, likes these conditions. Everyone's got her high in the rankings come the end of the year. I think she is a top player, but I think she is overrated massively. I think she's not as good as people give her credit for. For me, she is someone who is around 10th. That is her ranking. I think she is surpassed where she should be. But it was still a big shock nonetheless, because I didn't actually fancy Siegemund at all. I didn't fancy her in the first round, didn't fancy her in this round, and she's doing some great things. And this match was won, I think, a lot on the fact that Siegemund played very well. We know there is a player in there with her. It's very inconsistent, but she played a really good, solid performance. Never looked worried, never looked concerned, played very attacking tennis, and Zheng didn't have a chance to breathe.
No, she didn't. I thought that the volleying, the drop shots, she seemed to just put it all together in one match. And Qinwen Zheng just didn't seem to have any answers whatsoever. No plan B. And unfortunately for her, she tumbles out in the second round in a tournament, like you said earlier. She got to the final last year, but you can sort of see her Grand Slam results here. I've just put it up on the screen. Other than the final last year, it's all second round exits at the Australian Open. And maybe last year the draw was quite kind to her, because we know that she played Yastremska in the semi-final, Noskova in the quarterfinals. I mean, those aren't normally players that you play in latter stages of slams. And yeah, you can only beat who's put in front of you. But as soon as she got to the final, she got beaten in straight sets comfortably by Sabalenka. Maybe it was too much too soon. Maybe we've been sort of like fooled a little bit by the fact that she beat Iga at the Olympics, that type of thing. I think there's still a work in progress here.
There's a good player in there. She's got a great serve, good foundations to her game. And I'm not by any means saying she's not a good player. She is a very good player. And she is someone who can contend with the big guys on her day. But I don't think she's quite there yet. And I think she is around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in the rankings. That's obviously, she is higher at the moment, but that's for me where her level is. I'd expect her to drop off a little bit. So in a way, not too surprised. On the men's, there was a big top 10 player go out as well, and it was number 5 on the men's, Casper Ruud. He lost his match So he's the second in the men's because we had Rublev lose to Fonseca yesterday. Now we've got Casper Ruud losing. Are you surprised losing to Mensik?
Not that surprised. I think that we both actually picked it, didn't we, in our brackets? This
I think
one,
so.
Yeah. So it's not a big shock because I think he's been showing some signs of like being a danger in the draw. Really, same as with the other Czech players. I think it's so strong right now, Czech tennis.
Agreed,
Especially on both sides, like women's like coming through. I know we were talking about British tennis being potentially strong. I think the Czechs much stronger, really, what we've got there. I mean, these three young players, Lehečka, Mahac and Mensik, I mean, they're crazy good. I mean, Lehečka, there's nothing to speak about him in this last round because, yet again, he's got lucky and someone's retired. I mean, he's just had another tournament he just won with 2 retirements. Now he's gone through a round in the Australian Open with a retirement. Well, how can one player get so lucky and keep going through due to retirements? I'll never know. But Mensik, a fantastic performance. To go through in 4 sets as well just shows how good he is, and only 19 years old as well.
Yeah, as Gil Gross says, Jakub Mensik career record versus top 10 is now 5 wins, 3 losses. And he said Mickelson, Mensik, Fonseca are the high seed killers of the men's draw so far. And they're 20, 19 and 18 respectively. And it leads on nicely to what we're talking about. The future of the men's game is certainly very, very good. There is so many young players now, and even unknown players who we don't know about. We had the Samrej the other day taking Medvedev to 5. We had, I can never say his name, Basarvedi.
I think that's close enough.
You know who he was. He played Djokovic. He played very well. And it's funny because there's these players we're not necessarily known too much about pushing the top players very far. And I think that is a credit to the tour and the amount of fantastic tennis players there are beyond the top 100. And I want to focus on them guys as well because some of them guys outside the top 100 are coming into slams and doing very well now. And I think this is what we're going to see more of. We're going to see some more Fonseca type players coming through and doing some crazy things. Gil goes, I have this very unscientific take that the heavy underdogs have become way more willing to raise risk profile and redline their offensive games these days. That is another thing as well. Opelka did it against Djokovic, went full out risk and played very aggressive. And I feel a lot of the underdogs, they're taking that approach of they're just putting everything into it. If they lose, they lose. But they're not just going to be there and part of the occasion and be sitting ducks.
No. And I think that does sort of like fill in nicely with... there was an underdog playing in another match. It was playing against Djokovic. I mean, massive underdog, obviously, which was Jamie Faria. And he actually played incredibly well. I mean, he won a set and he looked brilliant. He was playing sort of lights out tennis for that whole set, maybe the first 2 sets, but then it's just the same old thing, isn't it? You've got to really maintain it, and it's so difficult at Grand Slam level. Djokovic wore him out towards the end and just got the victory. But he's starting to look, I don't know if it's just the fact that these young players are really like just going for it, or like Djokovic, for me, looks slightly older, trying to get around the court. It's a little bit like that. Do you think?
I think a little bit, but then don't just focus on the Djokovic matches.
No.
There's other ones as well. And we're seeing it with the Czech players. With the 3 names we just spoke about. If you bring up that tweet you had a second ago,
exactly.
The Czech trio's killing it. Lehečka, Mahac, Mensik. These are 3 young players who... Mahac's probably the oldest now, isn't he? He was young once upon a time when we spoke to him in that hotel room. But what's it called? Father Time catches up on everyone.
Yeah, it does indeed. I think that they're going to be the future. I'm actually very, very worried now about the fact that it's going to be Mahac playing Djokovic and not Opelka. I feel that Djokovic would probably be able to work out the serve over the course of 5 sets. Mahac is a bit of I don't know what to expect from him. He's like up and down, a bit erratic, a bit crazy, but that is unpredictable. And I don't know if I like that. He's beaten Djokovic before as well, which is scary.
Yeah.
I think he's fearless. And I think all of these Czech players are as well.
Yeah, I think that Djokovic would have rathered a Pelka winning in that 5th set than Mahac, but that's the way it's gone. So for him, he's going to have to play Thomas, and it's not going to be easy at all. If we look at the Djokovic tweet, you can see what he had to say. He mimicked Sir Daniel Medvedev.
Exactly.
Medvedev, the comedic genius. And Djokovic said, yesterday Medvedev played 5 sets. In the wise words of Mr. Medvedev, if the future generation plays this way, they're going to have everything. Money, girls, casino. They're echoing exactly what we said on the podcast. And I listen to Djokovic. I listen to Daniel Medvedev. These are world-class tennis players. In Djokovic's case, the greatest to ever do it. So if they're saying the future generation is good, I would tend to believe them.
Yeah, I mean, what an epic rise for Jamie Faria as well. I mean, I was sort of not singing his praises when we were in Valencia. I thought when we watched him play one match, it looked like he was sort of out of his depth in some of the challenger matches. Yeah. And he sort of struggled his way through matches, found a way to win, ended up in a final, which he lost because I think he had just played too much tennis. But to find himself now like qualifying for the Australian Open and then winning a match in straight sets, taking a set from Djokovic, I mean, his rise has been fantastic. I'm actually pretty excited for his future now. I think he actually looks like a really, really solid player.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly what you've said. We saw him there and he didn't look that good and he's improved so much. So let's see what happens with him. Moving on.
Yeah, the next one. I want to pose this question to you because I think it's a relevant question to where tennis is at the moment and where maybe Djokovic is and where maybe some of the other top players on the men's side are as well. And this is obviously Carlos Alcaraz. His match was over pretty fast. 6-love, 6-1, 6-4 in an hour and 22 against Nishioka. I mean, he absolutely killed him. It was a masterclass from Carlos Alcaraz, and I think he's adjusting to these courts. My question to you is, if Jamie Faria had played Alcaraz, would it have been a set one, or would Alcaraz would he have pulverized him the same way he did Nishioka?
There wouldn't have been a set one, but it would have been maybe some closer sets.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well.
It's just the way I think Alcaraz and Sinner are a lot better than Djokovic. I said it on an episode a few days ago. I'm not being disrespectful to Djokovic by saying that. I just don't think at this current level and stage of his career, he is that good of a player. He's around the Qinwen Zheng level of about 10.
7 at the minute. He's up a little bit.
I see his performance levels. I could probably name 9 players or 8 or 9 players who I think are better than him right now and can beat him.
I'm worried about Mahac, but I'm sort of happy that he went to 5 sets. There's part of me that hoping there's some tired legs in there, and Djokovic, he should be able to, even if it goes 5, he'll be able to outlast him.
A question to you. If Fonseca played Djokovic in the next round, would you fancy Djokovic to win or Fonseca?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fonseca, the way he played, I wouldn't want Djokovic playing anyone like that right now. And he needs to grow into this tournament a bit for me, Djokovic. And maybe that will be like Djokovic's, I don't know, his saving grace. Other players playing long matches before they get a chance to play him, because I think we know his body will probably last longer than some of the younger players on the tour, but it might not be doing so great. The fact that age has got to catch up with him at some point. I mean, Alcaraz, if he's whizzing through these rounds like an hour and 20, if he meets Djokovic in the quarters, it's going to be tough for Djokovic.
Let's stick with Djokovic, and now some stats for him.
Yes.
He has the most titles, finals, semi-finals, quarter-finals, matches played, and wins at slams. Crazy, isn't it? Look at this. No one is getting close to him. Brilliant. The one which is closest is it the quarter-final one where Federer's 58? He's now got, well, he's 2 in front there. But
he just broke his record, didn't he?
He's just broke the Federer for the amount of matches played, isn't it? 'Cause it was 429, now it's 430.
It's going to keep going up, that one for sure, because he's going to play obviously all the slams this year, you would assume, as well. I mean,
do you think anyone will ever beat the Djokovic amount of matches played in slams?
So this actually ties in quite nicely for what we were talking about. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, actually talking about longevity in the sport. I think that these will probably be broken because I think players will be playing later into their 30s, maybe even their 40s, and with more energy, more agility. So sadly, these will stay for a while, but I think eventually even these records will be surpassed.
Yes, and one man who can potentially break these records is Carlos Alcaraz, who has been speaking a lot in the build-up to the Australian Open about his serve, and I find it very fascinating. So he's changed his serve technique completely. Yeah. He said every time he's serving now, he has to really think about the new motion he's doing, and he's finding it very challenging. It doesn't come natural to him. It feels a little bit awkward. He's changed maybe his grip or the technique. I'm not sure exactly the technicalities of what he's changed, but there's something where he's approaching the service line, and every time he's having to think about it to the detail. But clearly, it's starting to work because he's set a new Grand Slam career high of 89% first serve points won. And in the camera afterwards, he wrote, "Am I a serve bot?"
I like it, though.
It's great, though, isn't it? Because imagine if Alcaraz, his serve reaches another level. Say if he could get 89 is ridiculous, but I don't know, 75% or above in every match, that is going to make him so much more formidable. If he's holding his service games even more, Carlos Alcaraz is going to have opportunities in the opponent's serve. I think this elevates him another level or two.
I think he's destined to have an amazing serve at some point. Like it just makes sense. He's so talented. I mean, you look at what Jannik Sinner's been able to do with his serve, and his serve is incredible right now. I think Alcaraz is just going to be the same. Just maybe a few more years of growth. And look at what Djokovic has been able to achieve with his serve. That wasn't always that amazing breakpoint saving, pinpoint accurate serve that he has now. But you see, later in his career, he relies on that so much more than he did earlier in his career. But if Alcaraz manages to nail that down like early in his career, God, it's like absolute nightmare for everybody else. No 3 points against Carlos Alcaraz. SERVEBOT, the new Opelka. That's definitely right. I mean, how's that? I'm just going to keep an eye on Jack Draper. He's 2-all in the fifth as we are talking at the moment. I mean, I'm hoping he goes through. I've sort of invested in both players, as we spoke to Tenacity at the UTS as well. I'm actually liking the fact that he's given him a good match, but a bit of a shame for Jack Draper. Let's move away from the men's just quickly because we've got to speak about Naomi Osaka. I mean, it's such a big story. Her playing so well and knocking out Karolina Muchova. I mean, it's terrible for my top 10 for the end of the year because I've got Muchova. I think I've got her at 6 or 5, some high. And this is just a dreadful draw, really. That's what I'll put it down to. You couldn't ask for someone worse in the early rounds than two-time champion Naomi Osaka. Big question. Can she win it?
It's written in the stars that she will make the top 10 this year for many reasons. The big one being, last year I had her inside my top 10. So what happens is I'll keep her out this year. It was a big, bold pick last year, and it's going to happen in 2025. I'm almost certain of it now. Naomi Osaka will probably be inside the top 10 come the end of the year, and that's why she's winning the Australian Open.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a great opportunity. If she can beat Muchova, and especially the way that she beat her, I thought it was very impressive. The sets that she won, like she lost the first set 6-1, came back 6-1 in the second, 6-3 in that third, and you can see the passion is really back. She's screaming after every point, come on! Like the backhand down the line looks absolutely perfect. Some nonchalant volleying as well, where she took all the pace off the I mean, it's like the real Naomi Osaka's back.
She's back. But joking aside, I don't actually think she's going to win the Australian Open. For her target probably isn't even winning it. If she can go deep and go far, I believe she's in a similar section to Coco Gauff. Is that right?
Yes. Well, she plays Bencic next, another person who's coming back.
But you'd fancy Osaka in this form for sure. And then is it Gauff after that?
Maybe, but Gauff is playing Leylah Fernandez next, which is a great section, this section. It's a really exciting section. Who's going to go through? You've got Fernandez knocking out Coco Gauff. I mean, Gauff wasn't all perfect in her match earlier on against Jodie Burrage. Fair play Burrage. She actually played really well and was up 5-3 in that second set, but it's just unfortunate. She had a touch of the Raducanu's. The double faults came in at the wrong time. Coco Gauff's serve didn't look great, and she started abandoning her forehand, which has been good, and doing forehand chops for a lot of the second set. I don't know what was happening, just so that she could just get back into the set. It was very bizarre, but she managed to win in straight sets in the end.
Because that's what you can do against these British sensations, Ben. The ones you said who are taking over the world, some of the best promising talents, the best British tennis has ever been. Coco Gauff can afford to take. She can afford to take half an hour just doing chops and still win the match. And I think that just shows everything about where British tennis is. They're okay. They make up the numbers. It's great that they're here. But for me, there's not many world beaters at all who can do much. But Naomi Osaka is a world beater. She is someone who can go far. I really do want to see that match up against Coco Gauff, despite me having her going out. I do feel like Coco Gauff is a massive favourite against Fernandez, and it's more hope than anything that she was to lose. In a way, though, it will be nice to see a Coco Gauff Osaka. That will be a top match. And Osaka, in this form, can beat her.
Yeah, and what she said after the match, said it took everything. It felt like I left everything I had on the court. Fun to play in front of you guys. Last year was really tough. Felt like I could have done better. To be back on these courts playing in front makes the whole year. I'm glad to be able to play another round. I don't know what day it is today, but the day after tomorrow. What? Confusing statement, but she's always been quite sweet in her interviews, and I like the fact that she's doing interviews again and
with a smile.
Great tennis. Yeah,
she seems happier now that since she's come out and revealed and let everyone know publicly that she split up with her boyfriend.
Yep.
It seemed like they'd split up for maybe a year or longer.
I think so.
Of course, she had a baby with him, but I think she's a lot more pleased now, knowing that it's public and that she can just put that to bed. Because since that statement, all I've seen is smiles from Naomi Osaka. I wish her the best. I really hope I'll be willing her on every round.
Yeah. Here. I agree. We want to see the best tennis players playing their best tennis. It's never nice when stuff off the court is affecting you on the court as well. I don't know if anything was going on off the court for one of the new sensations on the women's, but somehow she found a way to win. It is Mira Andreeva. She went through in 10-8 in the final set tiebreak against Uchijima, and she was down 5-3 in the final set, down 6-8 in the deciding tiebreak, but still fought back, was able to win, and a bit worrying that she came so close here to going out. But yeah, I mean, she's still young, she's still learning. That'll be a good learning curve for her, but a long old match for somebody I thought would win that one pretty easily.
Yeah, it's just like the Siegemund one. Siegemund, Uchiyama, both had very good tournaments. Siegemund won her one. Uchiyama very close to knocking out Andreeva, but it wasn't to be. But just goes to show Andreeva's not the finished package yet. Plenty of room and growth and potential there for her. Just needs to tap into it, have the right attitude, and things can go her way. Got a very good foundation, and I'm pleased she managed to get through, but doesn't fill me with much confidence that she's going to do well against Saba.
Yeah, that moves us on nicely. What did you make of Saba's performance last night? That was one I'm sure you were watching. It was one of the first ones on.
Yeah, I was watching that. I think I texted you, didn't I? I was like, oh, Qinwen, Zheng and Saba both going to go out. Yeah. And then you woke up thinking, oh, are they out? But they're not out. Qinwen Zheng was out, but Sabalenka, I saw her down 5-2. I think I switched it off at that point and fell asleep, maybe. So I was waking up in the morning to think, oh, I wonder what's happened. But yeah, she got the job done. From what I've seen, I didn't see the end of the match, but was able to steady the ship. So credit to her. And that's now 16 consecutive wins at the Australian Open, 19 consecutive sets won. Absolutely no one is tougher to beat here. Still the one to beat for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this highlighted something very notable. Watching the two players who were obviously playing against players who were playing very well. I thought Badosa Maniero actually played fantastically well. Some of the winners she was hitting from different places on the court, no one would have got to them. But the difference between someone like Qinwen Zheng and Sabalenka is there's another level in there. And she knows when to bring it out. And she really brings it out when she's under the cosh. And some of the extra 10%, 20% on the forehands instantly changes a rally around, and she goes on the offensive. And yeah, I'm worried about anybody who plays her. She's so tough to beat. She has an iron will, it seems now, to push through matches when she's not playing well, which she didn't have a couple of years ago. Scary prospects, like you say, Mir Andreeva. I'm a bit worried about her. Yeah, is that the next match, or is there one more?
I'm not
before
sure. I don't think it is the next
Towson
one.
Next. Towson next.
It's a possible matchup in the future. Badosa. We've got one half left in, and that is Badosa.
Wow.
It's quite funny, really, because Badosa won very, very easily. I think it was, 1-1 or something?
Yeah, Love won, I think.
Love won. And Badosa on Tsitsipas's support, he was there, watch him. He said he always complains that I play long matches. So today I was really proud of myself. It's amazing to have him on my side. He gives me so much support. Please give a round of applause, because he is not having his best time, but he will come back. And Steph didn't look too impressed that everyone was giving him a round of applause. Probably a bit awkward.
I don't want pity.
It's a real pity. Oh, I've gone out. Don't worry, everyone's going to clap me. Very embarrassing for him. But still, Badosa, nice draw for her, but doing okay.
Yeah, nice, comfortable performance. Do you think Tsitsipas needs to grow the hair a bit longer? Is that where the power laid, like you were saying the other day?
No.
The hair goes.
No.
Power comes back.
I think he's not going to be. There's too many young players coming through. We've been speaking about how good so many players are. Unfortunately, he's part of the lost generation. He is that group of players who I think has not kept up.
Yeah, he's
and I
not
think what happens if you can't keep up with them players, you're going to be left behind, and he's going to be one of them who's left behind.
Yeah,
maybe Casper Ruud's next to get left behind.
I feel like the single-handed backhand is the thing which sometimes really, really affects him, because it's
from a defensive standpoint, he can't defend off a single-handed backhand.
Exactly. All it does is loops it back in the
middle
of the court.
It's not robust.
No.
And can be easily exploited, his backhand.
Should take some tips from Badosa's backhand. It's a really solid double-handed backhand. And she goes through. She's now facing Marta Kostyuk in the next round. That is a fantastic third-round match. We got some really good ones. We got Bencic Osaka, Badosa Kostyuk, Gauff Fernandez. This is the round where they really start hotting up in the third round. I'm excited. Let's touch on just one more on the men's, because I think it is a notable person who has gone out as well. I'm not sure if you've spotted this one. It was Seb Korda. He got knocked out in 5 sets by the Australian. And we were talking about him in the draw preview about he's not even done really well coming into the tournament, but he turns up. I told you he turns up. Vukic is just a strange player. He turns up at the slams.
So's Korda, though.
Yeah, very strange. But well done to Vukic. He's through. Beat Korda in 5, and more disappointment for Seb Korda at slams.
Yeah, he's very inconsistent, isn't he? There's a top player in there with Sebastian Korda. He's just not tapped into it yet, but he's got the ability to beat a Tsitsipas, but then he's got the ability to lose to someone else, and it's just I don't know where. I don't even know what my opinion is on Sebastian Korda.
Yeah, let's just
he's
take
so
a look.
Strange that I don't have an opinion on him.
Yeah, he's suddenly in the final, then he's suddenly out in the first round, then he's
can lose to anyone.
Just he needs to have a look at his what his dad was doing, and then try and follow that trajectory, because his dad was much more consistent. Well, yeah, maybe change sport. Just get into something else. Moving down, let's have a look at some of the results. Obviously, Lehechka went through due to retirement from Gaston. Borges knocking out Thompson in straight sets. I thought that was a big shock for me. I thought that was an even match, but
I
well done,
thought
Borges.
close, but I did fancy Borges.
Yeah, Fee's through. He's starting to really shore up himself in this tournament now. Knocked out Alice in 4. Fernley, go on. Jacob Fernley doing it for the Brits. Lost the first set, but went through in 4. Really happy for him. And Ugo Humbert, we said it would probably happen. Knocked out Hadi Habib. He had a good tournament. Put his name on the map. I think that's a good thing. Put his country on the map as well in tennis. So I think he achieved a lot in this tournament, despite going out in the second round. And, I mean, Zverev, there's just nothing to see here. Pedro Martinez, typical clay court player, coming into a fast hard court slam, just got absolutely drubbed by big serving Zverev, 6-1, 6-4, 6-1. And you can see there, some matches still playing as we're doing this. Draper Kokkinakis is going all the way to the white. They're in 4 hours 25 so far.
Yeah, that's going to be close. I think Fokina's still got a chance in that after taking the third. And I think Paul will wrap up the Nishikori one.
Yeah,
but we'll go back to that in a sec. Let's go to the women. Samsonova going out, probably another big shot.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming at
this
all.
One. Talk about this, please.
I don't have anything to say about it.
Freck versus Blinker. I saw somebody put a tweet, I think it's Tennis Letter, saying, pure WTA or something.
It's not though. It's lazy commentary to say that, because the WTA tour isn't like this. There's been times sometimes on the challenges.
You don't get this on the men's tour though.
You don't get it on the slams though for the women's. I'm going to defend the WTA. You don't actually see this in the slams that often.
I don't recall ever seeing a men's match when it's like this, though, in any sort of tournament. There's normally a strong serve to at least win a game.
I think there has been a few times. I feel like I've seen some in the challenges.
Yeah, I think maybe lower down the rankings, but not in a high level event. This one, 6-love Blinkova, 6-love Freck, and then Freck got through in that final set. She's having a good tournament. Continuing on, Towson, strong as ever. She plays Sabalenka next. That's going to be a really good test for her. Pegula just quietly moving through. She's playing really well. Who else on here?
Sneijder, Fernandez. They're the two. They're the two I like.
A dart out, another Brit gone. Did well to get a set, but then completely fell apart after that. And Kostyuk, nice bagel there for her. She's starting to really hot up in this tournament. I think that's it. I think we wrap it up there, mate.
That's right. We'll obviously keep you in touch with the remaining matches. Sorry we couldn't wait. There's some other commitments and Ben's got to go out, so we're unable to do it any later. But thanks everyone for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and thanks to all the support on the Fonseca podcast. Great to hear all of your opinions and debate in the comments section. I've got a thick skin, so feel free to send whatever you want about JG and how stupid he is. It's great to hear from you all, and I love to have a good debate and conversation. So thanks everyone. Go on.
I was going to say, and don't be afraid to agree with JG. If you're out there, there's some of you out there. There's some people who are scared to get in the comment section, because there are some people that agree. There's a lot of people who go after him. But if you want to go after me as well, go for it. I don't mind. That's why we're here having a debate. There are always two sides, and I know some people a little bit PC don't want to say their piece, but feel free.
I think in 2025, one thing I want to always push is open debate, free speech, and the ability to express what you feel is your own truth. Keep with that, and I think I'll debate with you, I'll disagree with you, but I'm always interested to hear what you've got to say. Thanks for
listening to Donald Trump.
Definitely not him, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.